In chess, a trap isn't just a series of moves. It's like a psychological contract. Your opponent offers you this glittering, poisoned apple, a free pawn, an open file, and they just dare you to take a bite. So today, we're diving headfirst into that minefield. Not just to memorize some cheap tricks, but to really get inside the psychology of them. That way, you become the trapper, not the trapped.
So why do we keep falling for this stuff? It's a great question, right? Look, as a beginner, you're not losing games because you forgot how a knight moves. You're losing because you can't see the invisible threats, the ones that are lurking just beneath the surface. You see a free pawn, but you don't see that by taking it, you're pulling a key defender away from your king, and that a cage is slowly being built all around you.
And this right here gets to the absolute heart of it. On the left, you've got hope chess. That's the beginner's default setting. You make a move, cross your fingers, and just hope they don't see what you're up to. But on the right, that's where we want to be. That's prophylactic chess. That's the master's mindset. It's constantly asking, okay, what's my opponent really planning? And then just shutting it down before it even gets started.
All right, let's kick things off with the ultimate rite of passage for every chess player on the planet. Trap number 1, the scholar's mate. Seriously, if you've never been beaten by this, you probably just haven't played enough chess yet. It is without a doubt the most famous and infamous checkmate in the entire game.
So what's the secret sauce here? How does this even work? Well, the whole trap is built around attacking the board's natural weak point, the f7 square for black or f2 for white. And why is it so weak? Simple. At the start of the game, it is the only square defended by just one piece, the king himself. That makes it a wide-open doorway straight to checkmate.
Okay, so how does this whole thing play out? It starts simple enough. e4, e5. Standard stuff. But then, white plays the wayward queen attack. Queen to h5. Yeah, it breaks the rules about bringing your queen out early, but it immediately puts black on the back foot. Then comes bishop to c4. Now you've got a battery, 2 pieces staring laser beams right at that weak f7 square. And this is where it all goes wrong. Black, feeling pretty clever, develops their knight to f6, attacking the queen, but this is the fatal blunder. They've walked right into it. White just plays queen takes f7. Check, mate. It's all over in 4 moves.
And that's the real lesson here, isn't it? This quote says it all. Black was trying to do the right thing. They were developing their pieces, but they completely ignored the safety of their king. The deep lesson is that absolutely nothing else on the board matters if your king is about to get captured. All right, so that was Chess 101. Now let's crank up the difficulty a bit and see how these traps get way more sophisticated. We're about to enter the world of illusions, sacrifices, and pure psychological pressure. These next 2 traps work by tricking you into thinking you're about to win, right before the axe falls. The legal trap teaches us something really profound about how much pieces are actually worth. It's all built around a concept called a pseudopin. Now, a normal pin is when a piece can't move because, say, your queen is right behind it. But what if moving that pinned piece unlocks a checkmate? All of a sudden, losing your queen is not just an option, it's the winning move.
Okay, check out this absolute madness. Black has white's knight on f3 pinned to the queen. Seems pretty solid, right? But then white plays the shockwave. Knight takes e5. They just move the pinned knight, leaving their own queen completely hanging. And of course, black's eyes go wide. They see a free queen. They snatch it up thinking they've just won the lottery. But it's a trap. Bishop takes f7 check. The king is forced to e7 and then knight to d5. It's a beautiful, stunning checkmate delivered by just 3 minor pieces. Next up, we've got a personal favorite of mine, the fishing pole. This trap is just pure psychological warfare. It's so clever because it exploits something called knightophobia. You know, that gut reaction beginners have to immediately kick away any enemy piece that gets a little too close, usually with a pawn move that ends up creating a deadly weakness. So here's how the bait is laid. Black pops a knight onto g4. White, feeling annoyed, plays h3 to shoo it away. But instead of retreating, black plays h5. They're basically just staring across the board and saying, "Go ahead, I dare you to take it." And white takes the bait. They capture the knight. But bam! That's the mistake. In one move, they've just opened up the h-file, creating a direct highway for black's rook. The queen slides over to h4, and just like that, checkmate is unavoidable.
And this just illustrates the takeaway perfectly. When white took that knight, they thought they were winning a piece. What they were actually doing was demolishing the shield in front of their own king. They basically handed their opponent a loaded gun and pointed them toward the target.
Okay, our next two traps are all about one of the classic human failings. You know the one, greed. Both the Blackburn Shilling and Noah's Ark are designed to tempt your opponent with what looks like free stuff, only to slam the door shut the second they reach for it.
So this one has a great story. It's named after a guy named Joseph Blackburn, and legend has it he used this exact trap to win shillings, money, off of unsuspecting players in cafes. The whole idea revolves around the poisoned pawn, a pawn that looks totally free for the taking, but is actually just the bait for a much, much deadlier attack. So the trap kicks off when black makes this really weird-looking move, knight to d4, just leaving the e5 pawn hanging. White thinks, my opponent's a total amateur, and immediately snatches the pawn. But then, bam! Queen to g5. It's a devastating double attack, hitting the knight on e5 and threatening the g2 pawn right next to the king. After a few more forced moves, black plays knight to f3, and that's it. Smothered mate.
And this isn't just any checkmate. This is a smothered mate, which is maybe the most artistic and, let's be honest, humiliating way to win a chess game. This quote just describes it perfectly. The white king is completely boxed in, unable to move, literally choked to death by his own pieces.
Okay, for our last trap, we're changing gears a little. Noah's Ark isn't really about checkmate. It's about something that can be just as devastating, winning a ton of material. This trap is the ultimate proof that a few humble, well-placed pawns can be way more powerful than a mighty bishop.
The trouble starts right here on move 8. White makes a big mistake by capturing with the queen because it allows black to start building a cage out of pawns. First comes c5, which attacks the queen and gains a valuable tempo. Then, after a few more moves, black plays the killer blow, c4, and that's it. The door slams shut. The white bishop on b3 is now completely walled in by black's pawns. It has absolutely nowhere to go, and it's about to be captured.
I mean, look at this. It just says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you've got this major piece, a bishop, that is completely and utterly worthless because it can't move. And on the right, you have a simple chain of pawns that has totally taken it out of the game. It's a true masterclass in the power of pawn structure. So, we've walked through the minefield. We've seen 5 absolutely lethal traps. But the goal here isn't for you to go out and just memorize a bunch of moves. It's to help you build what we call an untrappable mindset. It's about learning to finally become the shark and not the fish. So how do you do it? How do you defend against not just these traps, but all the others out there? You just need to burn these 3 pillars into your brain. Number 1, you have to ask the why question every single move. Stop and think, what is their real plan? Number 2, be skeptical. Remember that material is often just a lure. That so-called free pawn could be the most expensive piece you ever take. And finally, number 3, the f7/f2 rule. Always, always guard that square. It is the bridge directly to your king.
We've laid out the entire minefield. We've given you the map. We've made the invisible threats visible. So now, the only question left is the one you need to be asking yourself in every single one of your games from now on. What's your next move?